I'm excited about the Raptors season. To me, I think they have a little bit more depth that they had last year. I think that depth has been empowered and more confident. And you could say to me, who's the key to the season? Pascal Siakam, Mo Anunoby, Scotty Barnes, yada yada yada. To me, I think it's going to come down to a Precious Achua, Malachi Flynn. Do those guys take the next step and grow and can play, somewhat for them? The other guy I look at is Otto Porter. Can he stay healthy? If he can, he's going to help them 15 minutes a night, make a few threes, open the floor up. Then you look at McDaniels and Grady Dick and guys like that. Those guys can shoot the ball a little bit. So to me, here's the thing. I look at the Raptors. I think Scotty Barnes is going to take another step this year. I think he learned a lot uh, from his second year. I'm seeing a much more engaged guy in his third year. And if they just can be an average, I'm not asking them to be great. They could be an average 3-point shooting team, like middle of the pack in the NBA. They're going to be a pretty good team, and they're going to be a tough out.
I like the new system, John. I like the things that Coach Darko is stressing: ball movement, player movement. Don't hold on to it, and guys like Siakam, Trent, OG, Scotty, they're going to get the same shots as they got last year, but they may get them in a better situation when the defense has been kind of bent out of shape, when guys are worried about helping or getting back to players. I like what the potential is, and all of a sudden now, with the options not being picked up for Malachi Flynn and for Precious Achua, they're going to be, it's contract, it's money time for them. They're going to have to perform, and I think sometimes a little bit of positive pressure like that leads to some organic development. And listen, this is a new system, and these guys are learning to play it. I think, and I've said this before, I think you're going to see great passing. It's going to be highlighted with Jakob Pertl in the high post, the way that the system is being run. And they can play traditionally with a guy like Jakob and Pascal. And you've got the versatility of a Scotty Barnes. So I just, as I said, I said it yesterday, John, when we were on with Steve, Western Conference executive called me and watched the Chicago game and watched the Washington game and said, I like what this Toronto team can be. I think they're going to surprise people. And I kind of feel the same way with the way things are going.
So Jack, as a layman or as a basketball fan that isn't a season seat holder but goes to games and watches on TV, how will I see a difference in the way this team operates on the court?
I think you're going to have more energy per play per minute because you're going to have more players playing. So therefore, the level of effort per play will be at a higher level. No one's going to be conserving. I think you're going to. So that'll be number one. What I think you'll see. Number two, I think schematically from a defensive standpoint, you're going to see a team that maybe will take risks, but not as many. And sometimes they'll switch on screen. Sometimes they won't. They'll go under a ball screen, go above it, whatever. I mean, I think they're going to be a little different defensively, a little more traditional at times. But the thing that, to Jonesy's point, I think the ball's going to fly around a lot more, and the ball's going to move quickly, and they're going to be more of an equal opportunity. Yet there is a pecking order, and the ball will end up in the hands of a Siakam and a Anunoby and a Barnes, and then obviously with the second unit, a Gary Trent, and those guys will be featured, particularly in the back end of the shot clock. But I think the ball's going to move with a purpose. They're going to play with an energy and a spirit, and it's different, but nonetheless, I think they'll be a fun, entertaining team. I think they'll be a team when you go look and you buy a ticket, or if you watch it on TV, you're going to look and say, hey, those guys are laying it out there tonight, and they're trying really hard. Some nights it'll work, some nights it won't.
John, with all the, I don't know, perceived gloom and doom around the end of last year, the Raptors were 41-41. They were a
Yeah.
500 team.
Yeah, but they
Like,
were a much better team after the deadline when Pirtle showed up.
yes.
They were a
And
better
now
team.
you've got him for, absolutely, John. And now you've got him for a whole year learning a new system. And he talked about it, playing a system with which he is familiar because he played some of that in San Antonio, the way Pop wanted them to play. So, like I said, 41-41, like I don't know, maybe I'm always a half full, glass is half full kind of guy, but this was a 500 team last year with all the quote issues going on, and you've got a different driver of the same car with new energy.
But to be the devil's advocate, I mean, Masai has come out in the offseason, even early in camp, and said there were issues. We can't deny that there were issues. People, we talked about this last year. This team never had fun. I mean, you could see it on the players' faces. You could see it on the coaching staff's faces. There were black clouds all over the place last year. And then for Masai to say in camp that there was obviously communication issues and friction between veteran players and the younger players on the roster too. I mean, so there were lots of things in the 41-41. My question is there enough from the new guys, from Schroeder, from the coach, from Grady Dick? I'm going to call Porter a new guy because he only played a handful of games last year.
Yeah,
is there enough?
Fair.
Is there enough from these guys that can change this culture enough for this team to be competitive?
Well, I think what Masai did on media day was very calculated. To call out the selfishness again was clearly, that's already past them, because you can watch them right now and that's past them. But he just wanted to make a point that if anyone gets out of line, you're going to pay a price. So I just think that was one of those things where everybody was put on blast on day one, and that if anyone looks like they're playing that way, everyone in the media, everyone internally, externally will be all over them about it. So, they're already, the lanes have been established. The agenda, the mission statement, the vision has already been established for this year, which I really like. I think it was brilliant on his part to do that. So yes, I think Otto Porter is a new voice. I think the enthusiasm of a Grady Dick. I think McDaniels. I think having a Jakob Poeltl for a year. The difference of having a Schroeder versus a Van Vliet. Is Schroeder as good a player as Van Vliet? No, but Van Vliet was in the last year of his contract. Schroeder isn't, and you had the agenda last year with a lot of guys worried about that. You're going to have that agenda this year. But Masai's a smart guy. I got Gary Trent. I got Pascal. I got OG who can opt out. I got even Malachi Flynn and Precious Achua. Who knows what's going to happen in their contractual situation, as Jonesy pointed out. So there's a lot of guys playing for something. But I don't. And his whole point was, I don't care what you're playing for. I don't care what you're playing for. You're going to play this way. If you don't, we're going to throw your ass overboard. And so to me, I love it. And it empowers the coach now. It really empowers the coach that he knows the backing is going to be there from the guy that he works for. So I thought it was really, really smart. It's a great way to manipulate the media, but you also manipulate the room.
John, the simple answer to your question is, to me, yes, as Jack just said, there's a new energy. And look, I had the good fortune of being able to go in and watch at training camp and watch Darko work the room, watch him, bring back some traditional teaching, watch him in the inter squad scrimmage up in Burnaby at Simon Fraser, sat in the middle when Team Red was playing Team White or Black or whatever they were.
Damn, I had
and a
white
guy
to win. I had white to win.
oh, on FanDuel, and so
Bet Rivers,
on
pal. Bet Rivers.
Bet Rivers. So now a guy comes off the floor and Darko's right over to him, and they're communicating about what was good on the floor, what needs to improve, reinforcing what works in the system. I just like that energy, and both of you guys know that. John, you know that watching a guy like a Scotty Bowman in terms of direct communication with players. Jack, you know that as a coach, it's kind of right. John? You're laughing, but it's about getting.
I'm just laughing about
to,
Scotty because Scotty communicated with his guys on 17 different levels, not necessarily direct every time.
Well, but directly in the point that they got the message, and that is what it's about right now, getting the message and getting this team. And I just like the energy around the team right now, and I like where I see it could be going from a potential standpoint.
Malachi Flynn to me, Jack. Malachi Flynn. All of a sudden, I'm hearing and reading more about Malachi Flynn. At the end of last season, I thought he was out the door.
Well, it'd be interesting. I think he understands where he's at in his professional career, and this is the moment of truth. It's interesting. He had a game last week. I did the game on TSN, played at Chicago. He was 0 for 7, didn't make a shot. I thought he played his ass off. He guarded, he ran the team, he rebounded, he played with grit and toughness. He just didn't have a good shooting night. Then Friday night against Washington, he shot the ball better and yet did all those other things. So to me, again, so much is how you watch the game. If you watch it strictly from a statistical perspective, you're losing sight of what the job of a point guard is, and particularly a backup point guard. So what I'm seeing so far from him are the things I want from a backup point guard.